There was a huge NATO meeting in Turkey, and Donald Trump went and showed his behind and got some of what he wanted. Now, this is very important. If you're an investor, you need to understand what happened at this meeting. They're literally laying out the blueprint for what the world economy will look like. It's going to blow your mind. You're always thinking about human nature. Before we get to the finances, human nature always explains money.
Right.
What you should be thinking is that if you can form alliances with other countries based on three things, and the most powerful one is formed based on one of the three things, that should let you understand human nature in terms of military.
Okay, run that back one more
important
time.
military and war is to humans. You already know the drill. This is not investment advice. This is for information and entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor. I am not your financial advisor. Make sure you do your own due diligence. And do not forget, with any type of investment, they always carry a risk of losing all of your money. Don't you ever forget that. So with that being said, enjoy the show. Today, as of recording this, there was a huge NATO meeting in Turkey today, and Donald Trump went and showed his behind and got some of what he wanted. Now, this is very important. If you're an investor, you need to understand what happened at this meeting. You need to understand the events that led up to this meeting, and they're literally laying out the blueprint for what the world economy will look like. It's going to blow your minds. Okay. And in order for you to be able to understand what trades to do, you need to understand what happened. And we're going to explain all of that in this episode. I'm also going to give you a bunch of history and some major economics lesson. It's going to blow your minds. Yes. So before we go into NATO and Donald Trump, I have to give you some history. If you already know what NATO is, just sit tight. I'm going to do a real brief history so that everybody, the whole entire class, is up to speed. Okay? NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It was formed in 1949 as a result of World War II. So after World War II, everything was in shambles, especially in Europe, and the Allied countries was like, we need to form an alliance because the Soviet Union, they're a problem. And we need to figure out how to strengthen ourselves to reduce this conflict friction that we have right now. Okay?
Okay.
So a lot of things happen. I'm not going to go into the details of them because they're important, but they're irrelevant for what I need you to understand in this episode. But eventually, the Soviet Union fell. So the Soviet Union fell, and then it resulted in a bunch of smaller countries, but the biggest block of it is Russia. Russia is not in NATO. This is like a major thing about this whole conversation about NATO. Okay?
Okay.
So when they had formed this alliance, it was originally 12 countries, and they had 14 articles. This is massively important, okay? Pay attention. They have 14 articles. Article 5 of the treaty is what really defines everything about NATO, which is if you pick a war with one of us, you pick a war with all of us. Okay? This Article 5, the only time it's been enforced is when September 11 happened.
Okay.
So you picked a fight with us, and then NATO, they did things, they sent over troops, and they did a bunch of stuff to have each other's back. Let me give you some fun facts about NATO so you can understand how it's structured. As of right now, it's 32 countries in it. So originally went from 12 countries to now to 32 countries, all mainly in Europe. You know what? I'm going to give you all 14 articles just so you have them because they are important, and I want you to understand how this thing works, okay? I printed them off. Okay? All right, article number 1, members agree to settle international disputes peacefully and not use force except as allowed under the UN Charter. Number 2, members agree to strengthen democracy, economic cooperation, peaceful relations. Number 3, members agree to continuously build, maintain, and improve their own military capabilities. Massively important. Number 4, any member that believes its territorial integrity, political independence, or security is threatened may request consultations with other members. Number 5, an armed attack against one member is considered an attack against all members. So as you are looking at the news or anything you hear about NATO, I want you to always think NATO Article 5. Because when people talk about it, most people just kind of like graze over it, but you need to understand Article 5 just basically says you attack one of us, you attack all of us, okay? But these others are important as well. Article 6 defines the geographic areas where Article 5 applies. Article 7, NATO does not replace the United Nations. Article 8, members agree do not enter into treaties or international obligations that conflict with NATO commitments. 9, establishes a North Atlantic Council. Number 10, allows European countries to join NATO if every existing member unanimously agrees. This is important. That's why I wanted to get to this, because Article 10 is important, okay? They're only letting people in the club as long as everybody agrees. If one person does not agree, you can't get in the club. Allows additional European countries. This is just for the Western world, okay? Article 11 requires each country to ratify the treaty according to its own constitutional process. Article 12 allows the treaty to be reviewed if changing circumstances makes revision necessary. Number 13 allows any member to withdraw from NATO by providing 1 year's notice to the United States. Just FYI, NATO was formed in 1949 in Washington, D.C., but it is headquartered in Brussels, Europe.
Okay.
In Europe, which is the reason why it's there is because it's centrally located. Number 14 states that the treaty is written in English and French, both versions equally authentic. The important thing I want you to understand, when you think about NATO, your next question, especially if this is your first lesson on NATO, your next question should be like, are there other alliances? Because this is specifically for the rest of the Western world. There are other alliances. This is by far the most important in the world, okay? The other thing is, so you got 3 things that you can really base alliances on. Political country alliances on. Political, economic, or military. Those are the main 3 things. There are other strong alliances all around the world. Africa, Asia, Southeast Asia, South America, all around the world. But none of them are military quite like this one. Some of them are political, some of them are economic. None of them are military like this one. So what you should be thinking right now, before we get to the finances, you're always thinking about human nature. Human nature always explains finance. Human nature always explains money.
Right.
What you should be thinking is that if you can form alliances with other countries based on 3 things, and the most powerful one is formed based on one of the 3 things, that should let you understand human nature in terms of military.
Okay, run that back one more time.
Military and war is to humans.
Say that one more time, what you just said.
All right. For theoretic purposes, if countries can form alliances, they're typically based on 3 things. Political, economic, military.
Right.
And when we look at the most powerful alliance in the world, it is strictly based on military. Now, it trickles into some other stuff, like you can't have politics without politics.
Right.
But it is strictly based on military. And so if the most powerful alliance in the world is based on military, that tells you about human nature, what is most important to humans. War.
I was thinking defense. I mean,
war,
yeah.
Most people would think money. Now, this is a theory I've been working on. I don't want to say been working on. This is something that I've always held true in observation of humans throughout my whole entire life. But when you kind of run the data, a pattern starts to emerge in terms of analyzing governments, analyzing human progress. Guess what forces human progress?
Hardship.
War.
Okay.
War always forces human progress. Look around. If you're looking around in whatever room you're in, look at the most technological thing. Guess why it was created?
I'm going to take a big guess.
War. War. Keep that in mind. Okay? The other thing that war does is it forces for financial and economic infrastructure. So last week when we were talking about, we talked about the Fed last week? and we were talking about why they needed to inject money into the economy.
Right.
Why? Wars. So they had to figure out how to come up with an efficient tax system, banks, financial complexity, or I'm going to say complexity, but a proponent of this would say financial infrastructure, the specialization of finance in a civilization happens because of war. And this is true, generally true when you look at history.
Okay.
Real quick, this is a great moment. This is why you need to be on our newsletter list. I break everything down. You need to get the full picture. Some of y'all understand things better when you read it and you see the outline. I know the show is entertaining and I'll be giving y'all game, but I really give a full game away in the newsletter. Go to the link down below, sign up for the newsletter. It is absolutely free. Sign up right now. Specialization of finance in a civilization happens because of war. And this is true, generally true when you look at history.
Okay.
Which is messed up. It's so messed up. War is always a political driver in shaping a culture, shaping a civilization, moving a culture forward, good or bad. There is a reason that I want you to understand this. I'm not going to bring it up just yet, but I want you to remember this about war and why it's so important. All right, so since we just talked about the articles, we're gonna come back to that war thing in a minute. Since we just talked about the articles, I wanna talk about some current news. President Trump is over at this NATO meeting in Turkey, and he went kicking and screaming. He's been very, very upset. The two reasons why President Trump is upset about NATO right before him getting over there earlier today is because, one, he said, hey, Article 5 says that if we at war, you're supposed to have my back. Y'all don't have my back with Iran. But Article 5, first of all, you didn't tell anybody. That's their argument. It's like, bro, you didn't tell, we didn't know that this was happening. We're all blindsided. Like, we supposed to be working together. Number two, basically Article 5 says if you attack us, they didn't attack you. You attacked them.
Right.
So his argument is that. The second argument, which is a more valid argument, is y'all are putting too much financial responsibility on the U.S. What financial responsibility? Last year, they basically came up with a new rule and said all countries in NATO need to beef up their military spending to 5% of GDP. I know.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. But you have to have context to understand it's a lot and why it's a whole lot for the United States versus the other member countries. Like, it is huge. We're going to look at some numbers in a minute. So Donald Trump is very, very upset about this. Now, as of today, the first day, I don't know how long they're over there, but as of today, as soon as he gets over there, they have a meeting. The news breaks that European countries, in order to placate him, because he's also saying, hey, y'all didn't have my back. We don't need y'all. And y'all ain't have my back. I don't even want to be here. Only reason why I'm here is because Turkey president, that's my guy. That's my guy. I'm respecting him. But I don't even want to be here. I really want to leave. And y'all get on my nerves. Y'all making us do too much. So in order to placate him, European countries pledged $50 billion to spend in our country, Lockheed Martin, all of them, on military guns, airplanes, bombs, all that stuff. Okay? So that's good for the United States. So they're over there having like almost like a whole convention for like guns and bombs. And it's really kind of weird, but whatever. That's what's happening over there. Okay, so he's upset and he's throwing a whole temper tantrum. All right. Before we look at the numbers, you need to understand something else. Very, very important. Okay? Pay attention, everybody.
Attention.
Pay attention. Okay? In economics, there is this concept called guns and butter. All right? Guns and butter basically says that every closed economic system or every government, they have to make choices about how to allocate resources. All right? On one end, you got guns, which is basically like military or government spending. And on the other end, you got consumer resources. All right?
Okay.
That's butter. Now, there's a number of ways that you can look at the analogy around guns and butter. You can say guns is something very useful, whereas butter is something that is wasting. But that's not necessarily the case all the time, because we're going to see that basically NATO, without using these words, they define what guns is, and therefore by also telling us what butter is as well. Okay? So in their 5% that we have to get 5% of GDP, they outline, you can't just be like, oh, I bought this lip gloss. This is military spending. This is part of military spending. Say, no, this is what it is. They have a long list. We're going to go over the list in a minute.
Okay.
So basically they're saying 5%, 3.5% is core military spending, and then 1.5% is kind of like stuff that dances in the gray area. Okay. And we want you to get there. Right now, the U.S. is at about 3.2%. Okay.
3.5% of what? Their GDP?
Of GDP.
Okay.
All right. So let's kind of back up just a minute. Let's talk about guns and butter. So guns and butter is all about allocating resources. The government, any government, you and your budget and your money at your job, or, within your budget, your personal budget, you have to make a decision, a choice every day about allocating resources between things that are functional or things that are consumer. Now, let me tell you what made me want to do this podcast episode. It kind of really tied in so naturally, especially as it pertains to NATO, right? Like, this is all the headlines right now around NATO. And I'm afraid that people will see these NATO headlines and not pay attention, don't realize the government is telling them where everything is about to go. Okay. So go back real quick, tell you a story. So for those of you who don't know, I ran a very successful real estate club for years before it was cool. Most of your favorite real estate influencers is my grandkids. I inspired the person that inspired them to inspire. I'm not lying. Okay.
No, I'm laughing at the fact you said grandkids.
They're not my sons. They're my grandkids. Okay. I inspired the person that inspired the person that you've been listening to. Okay. So we started out. We had meetings every week. We had meetings it later grew to multiple times a week, but we had meetings every week. And from when we were small and an office maybe double the size of this to I had to end up getting a 3,000 square foot space. And then I was having meetings in Philly and in New York, doing them regularly. I did 9 large conferences, the whole shebang. Okay. Throughout the time, so it was about 5 years. Throughout that time, no. 4 years, from 2016 to 2020 when COVID happened. Throughout that time, there was always this conversation about how do we feed people? Because we used to do it Wednesday night. Our main meeting was Wednesday night at 7:00. And I value people's time so much. You're not coming to me. I know you did a long day at work. You got the kids, you dropped them off, or sometimes people will bring their kids. And then now it's time to eat. So there was always this conversation around, what do I feed everybody? And so one time one of our members owned a Chick-fil-A. He used to ball out on us every day, every Wednesday. I used to get real food. I would get sandwiches. I would get a lot. I would get a little, all the things. And guess what was the thing that ended up working out the most? That was most beneficial to our attendance, that people cared, all that. So I had a budget at one point. I had a budget of $400 every, and then the food was cheap at this time.
Right.
Okay. $400. You know how many sandwiches you can spend for $400 and waters and all that stuff? Guess what ended up working out? $30. And guess what I spent it on? People love this more than sandwiches.
$30.
$30. You never guess. I'm going to tell you. Cookies and pretzels. So I was telling somebody this story as a conversation about business. Because sometimes you can overdevelop your product, overdevelop your features. Okay. And so for people who are why are we spending so much on military? This money should be definitely should be going to house the homeless and all these other things. A government is trying to maximize output I printed something off for you. I'm going to flash it on the screen. Here, I want you to look at this graph. Trying to maximize output. I want you to look at that graph. Capital goods is guns. Consumer goods is butter. Okay? This is Econ 101. In order to be on that line, which is maximum output, you need to basically be on that line. So if I decide, hey, I'm going to spend $400 on sandwiches, it's going to put me in the gray area, which means I'm not maximizing my output. But come to find out that, and by the gray area, I mean in the area in the curve, I'm not maximizing my output because I'm spending more money and potentially getting less people, or I'm spending more money and getting the same amount of people, or I'm spending more money and people are less happy.
Right.
Okay? So I found that maximizing the output of using cookies and pretzels. Now, mind you, Philadelphia pretzels are different than any pretzels than you've ever seen in your life. I don't feel like explaining it. Shout out in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. I don't feel like explaining this. But Philly pretzels are dumb cheap, okay? Dumb cheap. And they come in like bulk when you can buy them single-handed, but like when you buy them, they come in bulk. And so, and then I would get quarter waters. I would get big waters. I used to get big waters because I like a big water. I'm knocking back quarter waters like nobody's business. They would leave them half empty. But I'm telling you, when I used to do cookies and pretzels, they would literally come in and be like, where the cookies, where the pretzels at? I had a full spread. One time I do one of our key members, our flagship members, like a birthday party. I had multiple caters. They had like little pit stops and everything. They didn't appreciate that as much as they appreciated cookies and pretzels. So we're having this conversation. I was explaining to them about basically maximum output, and I mentioned guns and butter, and it was like, I didn't know anything about that. And then I'm like, it ties into the conversation that I've been having over time about AI. We'll come back to that in a minute, okay? Y'all are, I keep saying they're putting all your eggs into this AI basket. But I know you're putting all your eggs into this AI basket because you are trying to basically maximize output. You're trying to maximize productivity. We'll talk about that in a minute. But guns and butter is a conversation that governments have all around the world all the time. How do I allocate my resources to maximize my output? Because if you spend too much on butter, your butter can eat itself.
So in that instance of you with the pretzels and cookies, would that have been considered your butter, you think?
No, I think that pretzels and cookies would probably have been the guns.
The guns?
Yes. The butter is like full-on meals. Like at 7, I don't know if you know about me. I'm always hungry, y'all. All the time. Give me a meal.
You know, I really see you eat because I'm normally
because I be fasting.
Yeah.
I'm always hungry. That's why I have to fast, because I'm always hungry. Like, Nicole, you can't just satisfy your every desire all the time. We got to pull back a little bit once a week. That's a whole other conversation. Okay. Actually, I thought about it a little bit more. The cookies and pretzels is still butter, but when you allocate less resources to it, the guns probably was more like me paying my speakers maybe more money, or me paying for marketing, me paying for just something to make the actual event more useful, investing money in that. And so I had to allocate resources and say, hey, you know what? To get the most output out of this event, I'm going to put less money into butter, which was food. And so the cookies and pretzels was a cheaper option for food. So it was still butter, just I allocated less resources to the butter. So I want you to think that there are a high level economists that are always looking at this. Are they making the best decision? I don't know. But this is something that Donald Trump is considering when NATO comes to him and says, hey, you're at 3.2%. We need you to beef that up to 5%. Hey, we've been at 3.2%. military spending, 3.5% of GDP on military spending. 5 is not keeping us optimized.
But as far as I know, universally, everybody should be at 5, though, right? Or is it
No,
just
no, should. They're saying they should be at 5 right now because tensions are high. Europe has the biggest war that it's had since World War II, which is Ukraine and Russia. China mad at everybody. Everybody mad at China. However you want to look at it. We got the Iranian war. NATO is like, hey, we are on the verge of something happening. And in order to keep our military allied forces strong, y'all got to beef up your spending.
all 32 allies?
Right.
Okay.
Everybody has to beef up their spending. Now, let's go back to Donald Trump. Hey, I have military needs. I got this Iran thing going on. Y'all did nothing. I guess in his mind, he expected, I'm going to wage war on Iran and y'all got to have my back. And they're like, we didn't know. I'm not saying that he's right or wrong. Because, of course, because we're the wealthiest country in the world, the lion's share of the spending of the military forces is the U.S., far outpacing the other countries. Also, we kind of like the big brother of the whole. There's 2 major jobs in in NATO. The first one is the Secretary General. That's always a European. And then there's another role called the SACAR or something like that. And that's always a U.S. military person. So they don't really have like a boss, but they got bosses. Number 1 and number 1.5. Like, you know, this is really a European thing. So like, okay, we let y'all Secretary General be, you know, over here. But like, we over here like with the SACAR job.
Yeah.
Okay. So like, hey, we lightweight run it. Y'all didn't jump in when we had a beef. I know I ain't tell y'all, but I don't need to tell y'all. Because most of the military spending is us anyway. When you look at the percentage of the military spending of GDP of the NATO countries, some are higher than us. We're like number 7. But that's not nominally higher than us. Right? Their percentage is higher, but that's not nominally higher than us. We eclipse them. We eclipse everybody. Okay? So they're saying get it up to 5%. Poland is almost there already. We're at number 7 at 3.2%. But here's where the gag is. When asking every country to beef up their military spending as a percentage of GDP is really not fair.
Right.
Because you don't have control of the GDP. You don't really have control. GDP, and when you think about GDP, gross domestic product, I need you to think productivity. Okay? So GDP, you have a job. Brandon has another job. It's commission based. You can control it by going to work, getting your head right, doing what you got to do. But at the end of the day, you can't control it. You can do the best you can do. You can allocate some of your resources to enough sleep. Another portion of your resources, let's talk about time. Another portion of your resources from sleep to like, okay, I'm going to leave the house 10 minutes earlier because I noticed that I perform better when I'm not rushing. Okay? So now you have to think about how to allocate your resources in order to try to hope to maximize GDP that you literally, at the end of the day, don't have no control over.
That makes
All
sense.
you can control is your allocation.
That makes sense about why Spain did what they did then.
Okay, what did Spain do?
About
saying that we're not going to 5%?
Yeah, when they requested exemption from the 5%.
Yeah, because
and then Trump threatened them with the tariffs after that. I mean, he threatened everybody, but in response to that, it was like, okay, well,
you're gonna pay some kind of way because that's not fair for us. Because y'all gonna expect us to go to 5%. But here's the kicker: this is real important, so you can understand why he's thinking this way. When you look at the percentage of government spending That's a different number.
Mm-hmm.
I can control that. So U.S. is abnormally high, even though we're, in terms of the number of GDP, I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to flash it on this page. Okay.
These are the GDPs?
So, no, when you look at the country, and then the next number is the percentage of government spending of GDP, the percentage of the output.
Oh, wow.
And then the last one is, this is the percentage of our budget. The last one is really the only one we can control. So even though we're number 7 in the list of 32, we're number 7 in the percentage of GDP, look at what we're at in the budget. We're way higher. Mm-hmm. So I'm already dedicating a lot of our resources. Now it's a conversation about guns and butter.
Oh, yeah, we're way higher.
We're way higher. Now it's a conversation of guns and butter. Now it's a conversation about choices. You want us to go from 3.2% to 5%? That's a big deal. That's a lot. So this means I have to pull money from one place and put money somewhere else. I have to make choices. I have to pull money from butter and put it in guns.
Mm.
Now keep in mind, look at that other chart. If I'm pulling money from butter and putting it in guns, is it still going to be on the line of max potential GDP?
Mm-mm.
I don't know. Probably not.
Looking at this graph, no.
So what you're essentially asking me is to sacrifice, and y'all didn't help me with Iran. And at the end of the day, you changing this rule is really only affecting me more than it's affecting y'all. Because those other countries can get them up to GDP with smaller changes. They can get up to 5% with smaller allocation resource changes. Mm-hmm. Nobody spends as much as we do nominally. Mm-hmm. So if you look on that chart, like I was saying, if you look on the chart, when you ask us, not that chart, the curve chart, when you ask us to reallocate resources, will it maximize our GDP? You're asking a big, tall order for us, and you did not have our back. Mm-hmm. That's not fair. We don't need y'all. Because guess what? Our budget eclipses y'all's. This is what he's saying. Now, keep in mind, the whole benefit of NATO is, the biggest benefit is Article 5. Mm-hmm. And guess who got the benefit of Article 5? The only person that got the benefit of Article 5?
Who?
The U.S., I told you. The only time they invoked it was September 11th. So Donald Trump saying, we don't get nothing from y'all. That's not 100% true. Now, let's go back to about a week and a half ago. There was a big housing bill that was supposed to come down the pipe. That it was a bipartisan bill that basically said, hey, we're going to change how permitting is done so permitting can be smoother, because one of the things that's holding up this housing shortage that we have is the fact that the permitting process around the country is very cumbersome. Mm-hmm. So we got to smooth this permitting process up. We're going to have money going into affordable housing, building new houses, just a whole bunch of stuff that's supposed to improve affordability. Okay? Mm-hmm. When they all signed it, now it's Donald Trump, now it's your turn. Guess what he did? No, I'm not doing it. Out of nowhere. No, I'm not doing it. Now, on the news, it was, I'm not doing it. I need y'all to do the Save America Act, which is the one about voter registration, voter fraud, all these different things that makes it more difficult for people to vote. You could say it's more difficult, or he would say, we're just trying to make it so that, there's lessen the chance of voter fraud. That's his argument. Mm-hmm. Hey, I need y'all to do this. Now, remember, he is a art of the deal. He's a negotiator. Now, you already know they had this 5% plan. He knew about the 5% increase way before we did. I'm just connecting dots. There is no proof of any of this. I'm just connecting dots. Mm-hmm. We're going to go through the list of things that qualifies as military spending, things that qualifies as the gray area, and things that are not military spending, okay? But it's real funny that one of the main things that's not military spending, specifically not military spending, is civilian housing. So why all of a sudden you so against this when it's supposed to benefit everybody? Because you're the one that was like, you got on there and was like, part of this bill was corporations and private equity can't invest in single families anymore. That was you got to say and said that this was going to be the case. Now all of a sudden you're changing your mind? If this conversation got you thinking differently, here's something worth looking into. One of the reasons why I partner with I Trust Capital is because they allow you to own physical gold inside a self-directed IRA. So instead of just buying gold, you can potentially do it in a tax advantage retirement account. And I'm going to add an extra layer for you. If you have questions about rolling over an old 401k, transferring an IRA, or you just want to understand how it all works, I've arranged for you guys, my community, to have a dedicated I Trust Capital representative. You'll find their contact information in the description below. Just email Ryan. He's going to answer your questions and connect you with the I Trust Capital white glove team to help you set up every step so you can own some gold or some crypto inside a retirement account, or just own gold or crypto outside of a retirement account. Email is down below. Reach out to them and tell them I sent you so you can get a free $100 right in your account. By the way, this video is sponsored by I Trust Capital, and I only partner with companies that I truly believe provide value to you guys, my audience. Back to the combo. So why all of a sudden you so against this when it's supposed to benefit everybody? Because you're the one that was like, part of this bill was corporations and private equity can't invest in single families anymore. You got to say and said that this was going to be the case. Now all of a sudden you're changing your mind? Now, again, somebody commented before and was like, I hate when people try to make sense of what Donald Trump does. I don't like him. I'm just spitting facts. You got to think, like, I have to make a big change, increasing our military spending by a whole percentage point and a half. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay? A lot of money. And I'm sorry, timing is off. Y'all coming to me about housing. It's almost like, you ask your mom, Mommy, can you take me to Dave & Buster's? Can you take me to Dave & Buster's? Yes, I'll take you on Thursday. And when Thursday rolls around, Mommy broke her finger. She's like, Mommy, you take me to Dave & Buster's? No, I gotta go to the hospital. No, this is not a priority. So I'm sorry I told y'all yes, but if y'all really want me to go out, because I could fudge some numbers and get to the 5%. I could figure the 5%. I got backups for the backups for the backup. I don't really want to do it, because we got to make some big changes. But if you really, 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 really want to, because this is what politics is all about. If you really, 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 really want me to, because I got to figure this 5% out over here. If you really want this housing thing, sign this document that says no voter registration fraud. Sign it. I gotta go in my lab and figure this out. After y'all adding more complexity to this new budget thing that I gotta do. Right now.
But he's always kind of pushed a hand like that.
I know. That's why I'm reading right through it. When I realized all of this, I was like,
Did you see
game well played.
the other conference? He just said this is total aside from like NATO and the guns and butter, but it was more so about the Bitcoin, because he even openly said it. He was like, yeah, my first candidacy, I wasn't a big Bitcoin guy. I didn't believe in it. He was like, but he went on to say, like, now in his second term though, he's an advocate for it, like crypto and things like that. And he was like, a lot of people love it. And he was like, I kind of had to love it because a lot of people love it in politics. He'll say whatever. He's
not saying whatever though.
He will. I'm saying, like, at one point he will say whatever, but then to get whatever he needs done to a certain degree, like, he'll come back around.
He's not saying whatever. He's being strategic. I'm not agreeing with it. This is not a whatever. It's I'm being strategic. I have to reallocate a lot of resources. I'm sorry. I thought that this housing plan was a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I did, and I know I seem crazy, but I don't care that I seem crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I know somebody's like, he is crazy. Sure. I don't care that I seem crazy. I got to make a hard decision. The biggest question that every government has had throughout time, guns or butter. Guns or butter. And you asking me about housing?
I get you. I see where you're going.
You asking me about Dave and Buster's? In this alliance that's literally telling us what to do, that we have been in for 75 years, that is one of the reasons that we are the superpower, that we lead. We're the biggest military complex, and we lead the biggest military complex.
And
we pretty much in charge of it.
And we spend the most.
As I said, we're the biggest military complex. We have the biggest military in the world, and we lead the biggest military ally. And y'all want to talk about housing? I'm sorry, I can't. Like, I got a friend right now, a really close friend, who's about to have a baby, but he's got some things going on financially. And he told his wife, like, so I got the baby shower invitation. And he told his wife, like, I love you. I love you. I love this baby more than anything in the world. But I'm not part of this planning committee. This is not a priority for me right now. I will be there. I will be there, do everything.
Smart man.
But I'm not part of this planning committee.
Yeah. Stand your ground, King.
I ain't mad at that. But it's the same thing. Like, I love you. We don't know how he really feels, but I'm just saying. The argument could be, I love you guys in America. I do. But I have to, 1.5% is insane. That's a lot. That's a big, big change. Okay. Now that you understand why he's doing what he's doing, I want to go through a list of the things that NATO says qualifies as military spending, core military spending, plus the gray area stuff. Can't remember what it's called, but this gray area stuff and the stuff that's not military spending. You need to understand it. This right here, what I'm going to share with you, this is the Bible. This is why there's a whole point of watching this episode, because it's going to tell you what's coming down the pike.
Is it any picks and shovels in your hand?
It's all picks and shovels. But you need to understand this, because you need to understand, right, if you're going to play the game that Elon Musk plays, which is, I'm just going to create products and services that services the government's budget. And I'm going to very beautifully market it and spin it in a way that it serves everybody and tell this really great story. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be in front. I'm going to service the government and what it needs, and thus they'll like have this whole entire flywheel of like income for me. You can take it explicitly, but you can also infer some things from this. Okay. So I had to make a really tough decision. For the next few minutes, I'm going to read off a bunch of line items from NATO's military approved list. If you don't have your thinking cap on, me reading off these line items is going to be boring. And I almost took it out and just said, hey, go and research it yourself. But I need you to understand this information. So instead of thinking that this is boring, I need you to pay attention to each of these line items. The reason I want you to pay attention, because it is telling you everything, so many things about what is going to happen in our economy versus what is happening in our economy right now. I'm leaving it in, okay? I'm leaving it in for your benefit. It's kind of like when your mom says you can't have cookies and you really want the cookies. You know not having the cookies is for your benefit. You hearing some of these line items is for your benefit. I put a link down below where you can download the list, okay? Get the list and pay attention. Absorb this information. I'm leaving it in for your benefit. Stay and pay attention. All right, so the core defense expenditures in the 3.5% bucket, armed forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, all of that. The next one, weapons and ammunition. You already know what that is. Okay, military vehicles and platforms, tanks, armored vehicles, command control, communication computers, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. So this is command control systems, radar systems, sensor networks. Okay, cool. All these things that you already aware. Cyber and space, cyber command, military cyber training, satellite situational awareness, space-based intelligence systems, electronic warfare. Okay, operations, exercises, and readiness, NATO operations, military training operations, blah, 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 blah. Military infrastructure, bases, barracks, missile sites, air defense sites, military maintenance facilities, aircraft hangars, submarine facilities, bang, bang, bong. Mixed civilian military items that can count partially. Military portion of dual use airfields, military portion of ports, military portion of rail systems, military portion of bridges, military portion of tunnels, meteorological services, military portion of navigation aids, military portion of R&D programs, military portion of logistics infrastructure, military portion of cybersecurity systems. Other forces that may count if they meet NATO's military criteria. Coast Guards with military roles, interior military troops, national police forces trained at military tactics, security forces operating under military authority. I know you're just like blown because they about to get busy. They about to get busy. I'm just letting you know.
That's a lot.
This is about to be the new thing. Okay? Peacekeeping, humanitarian, weapons destruction items that can count. Military peacekeeping operations, humanitarian operations. So when you do hear about humanitarian operations, it falls under what they must spend in accordance with NATO. Military disaster response missions, destruction of weapons. Okay, so here's the gray area. Broader defense, security related spending. This is where they can go up to 1.5%. Critical infrastructure protection. Protection of energy grids, power plants, gas pipelines, tunnels, undersea cables, data centers. Protection of transportation corridor. Hardening of critical infrastructure. I'm just skimming around, just FYI. Okay. Network defense, cybersecurity for national defense networks, cloud systems, cybersecurity for supply chains, cybersecurity for airports, cyber incident response, cyber exercises, cyber ranges, cyber threat intelligence, civil preparedness and resilience, emergency preparedness connected to national security, national resilience planning, strategic food reserves, emergency logistics systems, public warning systems, resilience of supply chains, resilience of energy systems, host nation support systems, military mobile infrastructure, innovation, defense innovation programs, dual use technology programs, drone innovation, space innovation, drone production capacity, shipbuilding capacity.
Sound like they're preparing for an intergalactic war.
It's not about them comparing for that's crazy how we're both reading this through different lenses. It's not about that. It's about, I just told you what pushes civilizations forward.
War.
So everything is going to be reallocated to fit these services, and it's going to be developed for these services. And the reason why I'm kind of like smirking a little bit, because when we talk about what you can do about at the end of this, I've mentioned this before. Take your business and be very careful. What you don't want to do is take a weak business and then try to outfit it to this. But take your business and be very, very careful about how to make it fit into the government's plan. This is what Elon does. And there's so many things that's everyday stuff and everyday businesses that everybody I see that everybody's doing that can be outfitted for this.
And that's all on the gun side, everything you just named.
I'm about to go on the butter side. Everything I named was on the gun side. So there's, over the next year or two, there's going to be a lot more money. Long as Trump, so here's the thing about Trump. He's a wild card. He don't know what he's going to do. No one knows. He's provocative. He'll get there and be like, yeah, I'll do it. Get the $50 billion in contracts. And then be like, nah, I didn't like the way it smelled in Turkey. I'm not going to do it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I say he'll say anything. He'll to get the job done.
Not saying anything. Maybe we got two different definitions of that.
Well, that's literally what you just said.
What I just said?
Yeah.
But in my mind, I know that there's a reason. He's just not telling us.
Okay.
Maybe we are saying the same thing. I'm okay with that.
A personal theory, right? This is so personal. I think it's really all, like, I know you used to say he's a narcissist, but I really think now it's all really self-centered, like more than I ever realized that it's self-centered. I really think at the end of it all, it's like,
That's what a narcissist is.
yeah.
Sugarfoot.
You know, I was giving him the benefit of the doubt when you kept saying he's a narcissist. I'm like, maybe, you know, I don't know. If
Do you know what narcissist is? It's a pathological way. It's a pathological predisposition to always put yourself as the most important.
Mm-hmm.
Pathologically.
Mm.
You do it. You do it to a degree that you lack empathy and lack sympathy. It's a personality disorder.
Well, I mean, he's definitely that then, because anybody who gets off of jet or off of 740.
And I don't care about. Say I don't care about you.
Yeah, I don't think about the American people and their
All
finances.
I care about is Iran.
I mean, you know.
And have them having a nuclear weapon. That's what he said. All right. Here, this is some of y'all who like really trying to figure out what you want with businesses. There's so many business ideas in this. Maybe I'll download this document and put it down below, and you can download it.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Make it a PDF, and they can just open it.
Yeah, I'll do that. Link. It'll be down below. I'm trying to create more work.
Because you shot off just then. That's why I was looking at you like that when every time you kept looking up. I was like, is more?
Yes, this literally, there's probably hundreds of items on this page. There's so many things that you can create a business to support this and get in where you fit in. Okay? Let's talk about the stuff that is not military. This is butter.
Butter.
For the purpose of this conversation. Now, here's the thing. In the guns and butter conversation, especially if this is new for you, I need you to understand that this is not textbook definition. You can really, honestly, guns and butter is an analogy that you can use for anything. But it's pretty much like, this is kind of like what's understood. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Prior to me being educated, the only time I heard guns and butter was on Baby Boy.
Yeah, it's funny because when I went to just like make sure I just like do some more research on it, because I apply it up here, but most of the stuff that y'all be like, how you know this stuff? I paid attention in school. Mm-hmm. I learned this in Econ 101. And so like I know, so I wanted to make sure like, okay, let me make sure that I'm like not missing anything, just like get really sharp about it. And when I went to go get sharp about it, Baby Boy kept coming up. Mm-hmm. I didn't click on it because I was like, I don't know, this is not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever, y'all. I don't feel like explaining it. Okay, let's talk about what is not guns, okay? Non-military, generally not NATO countable spending, okay? Civilian health care, education. This is why I was saying that sometimes the analogy is, they'll use the analogy of guns and butter being something that is depletable, or like it depreciates in value, like as butter melts. Mm-hmm. You can't exactly translate it in the analogy because education it's not depletable. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't work in that way. Like I saw somebody say something about like wealthy people are wealthy because they spend money on guns versus butter. Again, it's not military. It's something that's utilitarian, or you can use it, versus something that is wasteful, like clothes, cars, stuff like that. Something that has use, it's a tool. Okay? Mm-hmm. But you can't use that because it doesn't always translate. So just be mindful of that, okay? Mm-hmm. When you use the analogy and when someone tries to put the analogy on you, okay? Next one, social insurance and welfare. Social Security style pensions, SNAP, child tax credits, poverty relief, elderly assistance. Next one, housing. Mm-hmm. That's why y'all want to do this big bill and they just told me to hand me a bill that I got to reduce housing? No, I'll figure it out if you sign the save thing. Okay. Ordinary transportation and infrastructure, regular road repairs, civilian bridges, tunnels, sidewalks, airports, traffic lights, highway beautification.
Highway beautification.
Yeah, like when the highways look, that was a huge thing a couple years ago. They had a big infrastructure bill that they're still spending their way through, because we had all these bridges that had not been updated for a long time. Like, our whole infrastructure is old. And so it was a lot of money they injected into the economy in terms of infrastructure. There was a huge bill. So that is important. Like, these are things that are very important to the quality of life. Highway beautification. Like, you know, we're in this really nice part of Georgia. I'm driving down the street one day, just driving down the street. There's an island, and it is the most beautiful plant I've ever seen in my entire life. These are things that improve the quality of life. Think about when you go into the hood, what do you see?
Pothole.
Potholes, dirt, no plants.
And another pothole.
And another pothole.
Yeah.
Not beautiful. And how does it make you feel? Like trash. Okay. Also, too, there's another thing about broken glass. There's a broken glass theory that when the highways or the streets or the roads are not clean and taken care of, people are more likely to do crimes, because they think psychologically, y'all don't care, I don't care. Nobody's going to care about this.
Right.
New York cleaned up their crime problem from the 90s by drastically, just by every night scrubbing the graffiti off of the subway. They did it every night. And then when you get on, how do you feel when you get on the subway that's clean versus how do you feel when you get on the subway that's dirty?
Right.
Especially if you like thinking about doing a crime. Nobody don't care around here. But when you go to a nice neighborhood,
I mean, that makes sense too. It's just like if you step in somebody's house and it's spotless in there, you kind of
you sitting there like,
yeah, kind of don't want to touch anything. You're like, you want me to take my shoes off? You asking questions and
everybody
stuff
needs
now.
to come in my house, you take your shoes off.
Versus you go in somebody's house and it's a mess. You still might sit like that as far as I don't want to touch nothing because it's a mess in here. But if you made a mess, you probably wouldn't be too inclined to clean it up because
Right.
it's like,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Okay. Civilian economic development, small business grants, small business loans, civilian workforce development, urban redevelopment, Main Street business programs, commercial real estate subsidies,
I want to go back to something you said
civilian
earlier.
trade missions, civilian entrepreneurship programs,
You said elderly. Did you say elderly care in there?
elderly assistance.
Elderly assistance.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So this is what I was going to get to the end. So for those of you who don't know, we have a private equity fund. I run a private equity fund where we invest in apartment buildings and assisted living facilities for the elderly. And if you are interested in investing, 20% IRR, 2.5x equity multiple, the link will be down below. Just have a conversation, make a bunch of money with us passively, okay? But what I'm thinking about is the government money is coming. If we have to make this guns and butter choice and shift our resources, it can create opportunities in other areas to thrive from a private. That doesn't mean that the private markets can't do it. This doesn't mean that the market is going to go away. So what you want to do is you have to get really efficient with running those programs. You run your business totally different. That doesn't mean don't do the businesses that's butter. It means some of the grants, loans, opportunities, some of the subsidies that you're not even aware of. You might not even be aware of these subsidies. That may make business different. So you have to get more efficient. You have to maximize your output. Be the best assisted living facility versus people spending a whole bunch of money and granny is in a crappy one. Because a lot of that is happening right now.
Yeah, I actually see that firsthand.
We add all mental wellness amenities to our apartment buildings and assisted living facilities. High quality, that's always been our plan. High quality for these two things, because I know that the money is going away from housing. The most optimal thing to house people is going to be workforce housing. This is why we're doing apartment buildings. I already knew. I didn't know that this was going to happen, but I already knew that this is where it was going. You can go back to the old episodes when I was talking. I did a whole episode about real estate. It's about to get even tougher for agents. And I keep saying this. If you're an agent or a mortgage person, find another business. There's so many things that stacked up against you. Housing plan hasn't passed. So if the president does nothing, it can still pass. The president has to veto it in order for it not to pass. He hasn't done that yet. So if that doesn't happen, or if he vetoes it, it's going to get even tighter. Womp womp. Also, too, the other thing is AI. They're coming for your jobs if you're an agent, because it's already tight for real estate. If you're an agent, AI agents, you're an agent. Agents know how to do agent jobs. Anything that's an agent,
This is true.
that they're training it to do your job.
And then they're monopolizing it too, as far as
They're just streamlining it, because I'm be honest with you,
automating
the
it,
process
yeah.
is a pain in the butt. Dealing with an agent, you got to ask this question. They got to go back over here. You got to go 4 people deep. You got to make sure you don't do this. You got to talk to this person. The process is 5 months long and it's unnecessary. Maybe 30 days. Click some buttons.
they making home buying like Priceline at this point.
It should be. That's just my opinion. I know y'all agents hate me. Don't.
My eyes got big when you said it should be.
It should be, because the process is cumbersome for no reason other. The same thing with the income tax code or the tax code. It's cumbersome just to keep people employed. Why is it so complicated? But guess what? AI is replacing all that. A lot of people. I'm not recommending you do this. Not at all. A lot of people are doing their taxes on using AI. The same thing with lawyers. Basic legal documents, people using AI.
I actually heard that recently with the taxes. I think it was like 2 days ago. You know, like you said, a lot of people are trying to trim the fat, and
Right, you got, especially in this economy, trim the fat. So difference if you have an actual tax specialist or a tax preparer. A tax preparer, that, again, I'm not recommending. I don't think you should do it. I'm not doing it. So I don't think that anybody should do it. But
the options there.
okay, ordinary transportation and infrastructure, environment, climate, and natural resources, climate programs, renewable energy subsidies, parks, national parks, forest management, carbon capture programs not tied to defense or security. It's so much stuff on here that if this happens, this will definitely happen in European countries. They're going to be allocating resources from butter to guns. Civilian energy programs, consumer energy subsidies, civilian oil and gas subsidies, civilian energy efficient rebates, ordinary police, courts and prisons, local police departments, local police vehicles, courts, judges, prosecutors, jails, fire, EMS and civilian emergency response, wildfire response, civilian ambulances, civilian rebuilding grants, general government administration, voter registration, civilian procurement offices, salaries of elected officials, general science and technology, civilian university research, civilian computer science programs, civilian broadband research, culture, media and recreation, museums, libraries, arts, grants, tourism sites, public festivities, taxes, transfers and fiscal policy, tax cuts, rebates, child tax credits, deposit insurance, local, regional, and municipal spending, city budgets, civilian consumer support, mobile phone subsidies, student debt relief, civilian legal aid, household disaster grants. Last but not least, items that are not automatically military but can become countable if tied to defense security, AI, semiconductors, cybersecurity, drones, satellites, ports, airports, railroads, bridges, data center, cloud computing, energy grids, fuel pipelines, critical minerals, rare earth batteries, shipyards, R&D, a bunch of other stuff. It's in the document. Should change your life.
So it's basically like, I don't know, let's say having your house and you got kids, and now you're choosing between like setting up a home security or home defense
And
versus
feeding your
like,
kids.
yeah, sending your kids off to college or something like that. It's like you got the budget, but you got to figure out which one right now is.
I want to go through something else. I want to show you something else real important. I want to talk about times in histories where extreme high defense spending moments, where there's a lot of guns as a percentage of GDP. The United States, from 1943, 1944, after World War II, we were over 40%. Kuwait in 1991, they were at 117%. Ukraine, 2025, they're about 40%. Israel in 1975, they're about 30%. North Korea, they're currently, rough estimates, 25 to 34%. Russia, in 2025, they're at 7.3%. 2009 to 2011, we were at about 5%. Israel, 88 to 91, they were at 15%. Let's talk about extreme low defense spending moments. Costa Rica, they at zero. They don't have a military of nothing.
Really?
Nothing. They abolished their military in 1948, year before.
Side note, that was actually one of the places that I was looking at relocating to.
Yeah, I know somebody that lives there.
Costa Rica.
Just know if something happened, they ain't got no army. Okay. Iceland, they at 0%. They're a NATO member with no standing army. They outsource it. Japan, post World War II, they were at 0.9 or 1%. Let me see any other time that y'all would care. The United States, around 99 to 2001, we were at 3.1%. And Brazil, 2012 to 2019, they were at 1.3%. If our government or any government is going to do this 5% Jimmy Jam, which most of them are going to say yes. I'm assuming we're saying yes. I don't know. Again, I don't know. We got 4 options to actually solve this problem. We can either reallocate resources, cut spending. We can increase taxes. We can increase borrowing. Or the last option, drum roll, we can increase our output. So if we're going to, we can strategically time it to, it's really, if this works out, it's a master plan, okay, what I'm about to share. We can strategically time it to increase the spending, the military spending, while having that lag the increased GDP output.
Increase the military spending.
Let's say everything remains the same.
Right.
The Fed did a paper a little while ago called Equities as a Result of a Long Run Growth Shock. I'm gonna put the exact title, but it's something like that. And so they did this paper, this white paper. This was like not too long ago. They did this white paper. This was in this year, probably like less than 3 months ago. And basically what they studied was, so a long run growth shock is a time frame where you have increased GDP, which is output, using the same resources. So an economy can figure out how to produce more using the same resources. And when this sustains, it's called a long run growth shock. Okay. And so what they studied is what happens to equities prices when we are in a system of a long run growth shock. Now, I'll give you the result of the study. It doesn't have anything to do with this right now, but just this long run growth shock is really what I want to talk about. The result of the study is, there's a couple things that came out of the study, but the first thing is, so equities are priced on future cash flows or future gains. Okay. When we're in a long run growth shock, it's like humans get high off of this optimism. And so we value future cash flows more than what they're actually valued at. So when you get this extremely long bull market, it's going up, it's going to go up forever, it's going to go up forever. Oh, okay, Elon Musk, you got $5 billion in income, we're going to value that at $12,000 trillion. You trade at 100 times your revenue. The industry is at best 30. Why we're just so excited. Okay, so that's what ends up happening. It's a couple things that ends up happening, but I just wanted to tell you what their findings were. That when you're in a long run growth shock, more GDP for the same amount of work, future cash flows get valued more. Okay.
So essentially, equities go through the roof.
That's, I don't want to say go through the roof, but yes.
But yeah.
Just simplify it, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That was the result of it. But let's go long run growth shock as measured through GDP. So the government can say, okay, if we're going to do this, increase military spending, in order to make these numbers work, we can increase our military spending as a percentage of GDP. So over the short term, over the next 3 to 4 years, in order to get in line with this, we could potentially, you're going to see some changes to what's being spent out here, specifically from the government. That doesn't mean that like private markets is going to fall apart, but like where resources are going to go. Okay? But we can time it so that it doesn't hurt us in the long run. If we figure out how to get more GDP out in the long run, maybe 7, 8, 9 years for the same amount of work, it's a sacrifice we can make.
Okay.
Now, what industry is promising more GDP? That's the hopes of it, for the same amount of work or less work.
You asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
What industry? AI? AI industry?
So if the government, I'm not big on the AI trade, so I'm not recommending nothing to y'all.
Not recommending nothing.
I'm not. People gonna lose their whole entire shirts off their backs in this thing. But I'm just giving you the logic. If the government's saying, hey, if we put all our money into AI, because AI can fulfill this military thing, but also, so it's going to look like we're buying more guns for the butter and could potentially not be in our maximum output on that line in the long run, because we put so much money in AI, we can get more output and get more GDP and recoup that back. So I'm just want you to know, this is what they're thinking. I'm not saying it's going to work out that way. This is what their economists, this is what I see, this is what I would be thinking. If I was for the AI trade, this is the report that I would be putting on my boss's desk. There you go. There's your plan. Put all your money into AI. Now they go back to what I say all the time. The government is putting all its eggs in the AI basket.
This reminds me, every time I heard that statement, the revolution would not be televised.
The revolution will not be televised. It happened that day that clerk put the report on. She came in all blind and nerdy. You know, he only keep blind chicks around her. Hello, Mr. President. Here's your report. I stayed up all night.
Dang.
Do what you want with this information. Now we got to get to this last thing. As I always promise everybody that we're going to talk about what you can do about it. You got anything to say? Did I just blow your mind?
Sort of at the end, because it was just like, dang, like, I knew the AI thing was big.
You didn't realize how critical it was to this plan.
Yeah.
See, I saw it, but I didn't. I saw it, but I didn't really know how to articulate it. But once all these events happened this last 24 hours, I was like, this is why I always present information to you guys without judgment, because you got to know that you don't have all the information. And that's okay. That's all right.
Mm-hmm.
They can't put a whole bunch of information out there in the world. Ain't none of my business. Keep my lights on, keep my bank account full, make sure my baby's fine. Let me go to the gym, get good sleep. Work on my control. Can't be doing no mind control. Let me doing no MK Ultra on me.
But it's so crazy because it's like out of everything you named, out of the guns and butter, and especially all the guns, AI
Is a what?
it ain't even a gun. It's the manufacturer that makes the guns. If you get what I'm saying.
It's the guns. I'm gonna go back to what I originally said. The thing that moves civilizations forward the most is what?
War.
Okay. Nothing, with the exception of housing, food, and baby making and baby delivering. We don't need none of this. I bet you look, this lights right here. When you go back and look, it was made because somebody needed it for war. This phone, technology in the phone, guess what? They needed it for war. I don't want to go into the conspiracies about all this stuff that you use, these devices. War. Everything. AI, if it could not benefit war, they sell it to you like it can. That's like the secondary and tertiary feature, just like everything else is the secondary and tertiary feature. It ends up benefiting us in the long run. Air conditioning. Air conditioning was probably invented because they was over in Vietnam. Oh, we can't go to war like this. I'm hot. People dying. They dropping like flies. Our own army dropping like flies.
Oh, invented for war.
So I'm not saying it doesn't have a benefit. AI does not have a benefit that can push humanity forward, whatever that means. Right? Let's live inside of that narrative.
Yes.
Let's live inside of that narrative. AI can push humanity forward. You already know how I feel about that. That was not the original reason why I was created.
Yeah. I mean, it damn sure wasn't created to make clones of myself.
Right. Dancing clones, a dancing dog. They didn't do all that.
Okay, I'm back.
Martin Luther King did not die for a dancing
Oh
dog.
my God.
Okay? It was like, listen, we need to surveil these people. We don't
need
like
guns.
not knowing what's going on.
We need guns.
Somebody said, I can build something called a large language model. A large language model. I can build it for you.
I got a tear in my eye.
We can see everybody with the large language model. We can see what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what our enemies are doing. We can predict.
And then they go to the government and they say, we got this. And it can fit exactly what you're trying to do.
So look, right? You know the space race was made. The other thing, some of y'all thinking like, no, a lot of the technology was made for NASA. Space race. Who was the space race against? Soviet.
Oh, yeah.
That was a war. We was in a race against them to be the best. We're going to shut you down on all fronts.
Whoever has the first satellite out there type of ordeal.
That we in the race against y'all. We got to do it better. We got to do it better.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is here's what you can do. A lot of the stuff that I talked about, I hope your wheels are turning. I don't want to have to go in depth. Y'all should like fully 100% understand what to do. Like, it's money, near the money, adjacent to the money, down the street from the money, okay? Now, what I want you to do, I keep saying this over and over and over again. I need you to take your vision for your business, and you can run it through whatever large language model that you want to use, run it through, and take maybe the document that I'm going to put down below and say, how can I tweak this to fit inside of the government strategy? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because what I don't want you to do is sloppily take a bad business model and than just slap on AI or slap on whatever. I need you to make sure that your business model is airtight and you are really servicing this industry. So have a really strong conversation with Chat and look for opportunities. Like, seriously. The other thing I want you to do is also look. This is probably the bigger one, in my opinion, because I'm always all about solving problems. The real problem is going to be the people stuck holding the bag that government funding is going to get yanked from them. You need to come up with creative ways to solve their problems. So I want you to take this and formulate. You can use Chat. You can sit and think. I'm a thinker. I am a meditator. I might refine something if I have an idea through Chat, but like, God be giving me downloads. And I don't know He's giving to you. However you want to do it, I don't care. But what I want you to do is the real money. This is going to be the harder. It's going to be harder for you to come up with a solution for this. But it's really not that hard. It just probably take a couple days of thinking time. Okay. Look for opportunities to solve the problem of the people that's already in the existing businesses that's going to get jammed up because their government funding can potentially go away. For instance, we invest in apartment buildings. I told y'all this. People ain't going to be able to buy houses. They already can't. Apartment buildings are going to be, they're going to get better and more luxury, and they're more affordable. I can't come up, if they're taking money away from down payment assistance, right? That's a whole nother thing about the effects of what down payment assistance does to home values. So if I only got to bring 1% of the home value to the table, that affects home values. That affects the housing market, sometimes adversely. Another conversation for another day. But okay, if these programs are going away, then the cost to get in the home, not the cost of the home, the cost to get in the home is going to shoot up. But there's going to be this area of people that could once afford, at one point, afford that 3.5%, or there are some programs where you can get into a home for 0%. Okay? They got strong credit. They like nice things. They make good money. They just don't have the money to pay the 5%, 10%, maybe even the 3.5%, whatever, 20%. They'll go to a nice luxury apartment building, or a nice apartment building that feels luxury. B and C. I'm giving you an example. Figure out creative ways to service the people who are going to be stuck holding the bag when this goes into place.
Bar.
That's what I want you to do.
You got my wheels turning over here.
Always. That's the whole point. This is not dopamine city on social media where you're just getting dopamine hits. I want you to get serotonin.
Serotonin.
That's like the happy. I want you to feel.
Melatonin.
Satiated.
I was thinking melatonin for a second when you said so. I said, you want to put me to sleep?
No.
that's
like
melatonin.
Happy.
Yes.
You feel like accomplished. I think that will be serotonin. If it's not, whatever. That's what I want you to feel when you come up in here. When you step into my office.
No way.
There's
no way you just ended
like that. There's a
like
whole side joke about this, y'all. Brittany is cracking up.
Oh
when I get up from there, and you can see a feeling something, I make everybody say, I make it say, wee. Brandon said,
wee.
I don't know what make him go wheel on the song. I said, I don't got a problem with that. I got a problem with Lil Wayne saying, "Whoa."
Oh my goodness. We. Like a cop car.
Like a cop car.
You are crazy.